I'm Deez, and welcome back to my other workshop. Today the project is going to be to make a bandsaw table for the Harbor Freight Bauer bandsaw that I purchased, portable bandsaw. So there's all kinds of videos out there. People have different creative ideas on ways that you can make stands for this. Somebody's posted there's a swag table. It looks pretty nice, but again, that's another $150. I've got plenty of scrap wood up here in this workshop, and I'm going to attempt to make my own table for this, just so I've got a way to mount it up and use it as it's standing freely, and be able to cut through some of my work pieces for the lathe rather than use that hacksaw. So without further ado, I'm going to get on with it. First thing I'm going to do is grab my materials, the parts, the wood, the things I think I'm going to need. I'm going to need some threaded rod. I've got plenty of that stuff. I think I've got everything I'm going to need. And we'll just get on with making this thing. So hope you enjoy the video, and let's get on with it. Thank you. There's my scrap wood pile. I've got plenty of different materials. Let's get up here and see if we can't find some materials. I think for the frame, I'm going to use this 4x4 or parts of it. Like I said, I've got plenty of other scrap material up here to use. One way or another, we'll get this thing knocked out, but everybody needs a good scrap pile. First things first, let's get this thing unboxed and just take a look at it. I haven't even opened it yet. And then I've got plenty of scrap material to start with, and some 4x4, some plywood, some strips of wood. I think we'll be able to fashion something up and get this mounted up. But let's get this thing taken apart so we see what we're dealing with, and then we'll move from there. Let's see what's in this box. Like I said, I haven't opened it yet. And you have to apologize, I still don't have a proper microphone or anything for good video editing yet. Again, I don't want to just go out and buy thousands of dollars worth of equipment, recording equipment. This is just a hobby, something I'm doing for fun. And if enough people over time find it entertaining enough to keep at it and I get some subscribers, then I'll continue to add on tools and accessories and video recording equipment, maybe a GoPro someday. But for now, this is what I got. So there's a case. It's a big case. And it's what you would expect. You got a user manual. Blade storage teeth. I see. So I could put extra blades up in the case. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So there's some slots here. I think if you take your blade out of the packaging, it'll set up here in the case if you want to use this case to store everything. Otherwise, it looks pretty well made. Got that Harbor Freight stink to it, rubbery and all that. Decent size, again, no blade. Seems to be built very well, fairly well. And there it is. So, what we want to do is figure out a way to get this thing to mount in a stand. It'll be something like that. And that's the goal. So, I'm going to pause you here, kind of get things cleaned up, and we'll just start making this thing. All right. So I went ahead, just so I'm not just blindly going through this. This will be, we'll see how this goes, but on Instructibles, there's plans for bandsaws. Just search for bandsaw stand from scrap lumber or something. You'll find it. But I'm going to go ahead and get my base pieces cut out and ready to go. I need the base is going to be a 4x4 L shape, so I need to cut a couple pieces out of this. Again, this is all scrap wood that I've had. So what you're going to see is just me working on this, measuring out, cutting out my materials, and then we'll bring it back and kind of lay it out and show you what we're doing. I'm not going to use the exact dimensions that they call for, but I am going to use pretty close with the materials that I have. So, at any rate, let's get this measured out and get to cutting. All right, there's our starting pieces. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. This is just to make it functional. It'll stand upright. You've got your gussets. This will be something like this, you know, to kind of strengthen it all up. These guys will go up here, and that'll be to mount the handle. You know, bring it out a little. That'll be to mount the handle when it's in the upright position. And then these, of course, these will go on the front in order to provide stability back and forth. So that's the start of this project. I think we'll get on with it. I think the first thing we need to do is figure out how we're going to lag these together. Probably just use lag bolts, but let's get on with it. All right, here's a... Make sure when you're reclaiming old materials, you get your old staples and whatever else out that you might have in your wood. But first thing we're going to do is get these two pieces, the two 4x4s, together, mounted, and we're going to use these gussets in order to, you know, keep them together. But what I want to do is make sure it's square. I want the flattest surface of this piece on the base. Because it is reclaimed junk. I think that'll do. And remember, we're going to use these pieces here in order to provide more stability and keep everything the way it should be. One thing I'll check though, perhaps this side will be a little better. A little freshly cut. And again, it's not going to be perfect, we just want it to be stable. Let me grab a square. Get this as square as we can. And then what we'll do is get these pieces on here. There, that'll be a good start. Good heavy base to hold that. That's gonna work. I think I will put another screw over here. Put one more over here. And that'll have to do. So there we go. That is the first step. So the next thing it says is to get out the bandsaw, mount it up in here, and we'll start doing some measuring of where the next parts will go. The next step, it says to take the D-shaped handle. I don't have a D-shaped, I just got this handle on the top. However, I can already see that I'll have to do some modifications to the plans, but I think I have an idea. What I want to do is first take this off. And there's the handle for the top and the bolt. But essentially what it wants to do is take this and set this in here. And we're wanting wanting to take note of where this handle will be. Well, the handle is a through hole. So I think what I need to do is find an equivalent bolt and lag it all the way through, and that can hold the top. Because I'm not going to be able to, I think the original plans were going to call for mounting it like this. And I don't think that's really going to work very well. So let me do some measurements and I'll bring you back. I got to come up with something, but my initial thoughts are to drill through the back and just put a rod right through that top bolt. Well, I think what I'm going to do is actually drill a through hole on this handle to accommodate this bolt, carriage bolt, and I'll modify. These aren't going to work. Well, they could work, but then what we'll do is mock this up, and this is where this is how I will mount it, with this bolt, some washers, and that will give me what I need. I'll leave this on there, and then we'll continue on. All right, so I've got a hole through the handle. It actually was just some dirty old plastic, like a little bridge that shouldn't even have been there. I didn't need to drill it at all. It just popped out. So this will go through the handle, so that'll work out. The handle width, fortunately, is the same width as my 4x4, so that's going to work out. I put my cross pieces in, so that's fine. But the back end of this bandsaw kind of sticks into the wood, and what I'd like to do is I want to bring it up. I want to bring it back in and level out what will be the plate for the table for the bandsaw. So what I'm going to do is just carve out with a chisel some of this material here in the middle, so that the power cord and this bump out will actually recess into this 4x4 bit, and just let me, recess it a little, but without bringing out the entire bandsaw another inch or two. So I'm going to get on with that. I'll try to record some of this, but I know this camera's going to be bouncing around, so I'll just get started, and if it's really bad, I'll cut it off and bring you back when I get this done. So, at any rate, you get the idea. What I'm going to do is peel that out of there. Watching this camera jump around and bang around isn't going to be fun. So, I'm going to get that done, and then I'll bring you back. Here's what we got. So we got this little recess here. I may need to go a little deeper, but for now I just want to see kind of how this works out. Again, you can kind of see what I'm going for. I'm trying to get it to come up so I can mount that back a little farther, but get it level. So I think that looks pretty good. It's not, I don't think it's as level as I want yet. I think I need to come up a little higher. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Keep going. That's gonna work. So as you can see, I got a recess in there. That's gonna account for this cord and this protrusion out the back. Allow me to kind of tuck that cord back in there out of the way and bring the saw up at an angle where I can keep it level, because it's all about the height of where this handle will end up being back here. So I got to get that height correct in order to make this level. So the next thing is to kind of use some clamps, try to get this thing stable enough to where I can make some measurements for the handle support. So I'm not going to bore you with that either, but I'll bring you right back. You can't really see the top here. Let's bring you up. There we go. That's good enough there. So what I'm doing is fiddling with this with a clamp. It's not on here very well, but the idea is to get some cross pieces. I'm not sure if I'll use this 1x. I might, because it'll still fit. But the idea is to use this and then the lag bolt in order to basically hang it from the top. But I'm not going to just hang it. It's going to actually rest on the base, so it'll be stable. But I got to get the handle height measured, and what I'm doing is using a level where the base plate will be, and just working on with my clamp and trying to get that where I want it to be. That's a little bit too far. Pretty fiddly, but it's really, I'm just trying to get that initial measurement. There we go. Well, you get the idea. So really what I'm going to do is get it level vertical from left to right and then from front to back, and I'll get my measurements for the handle and we'll get those cut, and I'll bring you right back for that. But you know, I just want to give you an idea of what I'm doing. You know, you want to get this thing level, but essentially it's going to be hanging from these portions here to keep the top stable, and then the bottom is actually going to rest on the base. So it'll be pretty stable overall, and again, my cross pieces are going to keep it stable from left to right. So I'm going to pause you here, continue to work on this, then I'll bring you back. All right, so here's my plan. I've got these drilled with 2 1/4. Now this isn't ideal, but I'd have to use some smaller stock, which I can. I may improve this later, but for now, this is just to get this mounted up, see if I can make this work. But the idea is to mount this to the handle. It'll be 2 1/4 out. Actually, I think I'm going to redo that, but you get the idea. I need to have longer wood here. I need it 2 1/4 out from the edge of this, but I do want some more meat to hold it into the 4x4. But I'm going to mount this to the saw, and then I'll bring it up, and then we'll mount the boards once I have everything level. That's going to be the easiest way for me to get this thing leveled side to side, front to back, and everything I need. So I'm going to find some better material, some longer material. I need it 2 1/4 inches out from the edge in order to maintain level front to back. And then I want the additional meat of, what is that, 3 1/2 to 4x4. So 3 1/2 plus 2 1/4. That's the kind of length that I'm looking for. So let me find that and I'll bring you back. All right, now we got something. So I've got these two pieces here that'll go up here somewhere, depending on where my handle ends up. But the first thing I'm going to do is mount this to my handle, through, get that tightened up, and then we'll continue on. So this is how we're gonna try to figure out where this will go. Again, I may remake this someday, but right now I'm just trying to use what I got, scrap. Just something to do in the shop. It's a nice day. Remember, something that, I don't know if anybody will see this part of the video. People tend to skip through a lot of stuff, but I'm just an amateur in the garage. I'm not an expert. You know, don't take my stuff as gospel or instructions or the right way to do everything. I'm just using the stuff I got. I'm trying to learn along the way. I try to be as safe as I can. You know, everybody's got to point out everything I'm doing wrong. Yeah, I bet you all do something wrong too once in a while. So bear with me. Just enjoy it. And hopefully you get some ideas and are inspired to work on some stuff yourself. But let's move on with this. Not quite level left to right, but again, I don't. So now that it's there, this thing can kind of swing in and out, but it's stable up top finally. There we go. All right. So that's kind of giving you the idea of what we're trying to accomplish. I don't know, hey, watch this. Look at that, wide angle. So now what we're trying to do is, I mean, I could put the blade on and we could test it. It's actually not ready for that. So what we have at the bottom, now that I've got you in a wide angle mode here, we can put these legs on, and what that's going to do is add stability left to right. One thing I want to do is kind of clean up my workbench. I got a lot of chips on here, wood chips, craft time, and then we'll go and we'll get this stability kind of put on here so that we got some left and right stability on this. All right, so I'm going to pause it, get this cleaned up, and then we'll continue on. Get you recording. I'm just ruining levels and working on getting this thing mounted. It doesn't have to be perfectly level, like I said. I'm just looking to get it stable, and so I'm going to pre-drill. All right, welcome back. I just sourced through my screw allotment. I found some longer screws. What I'm going to use is these screws with some washers, and the idea is to mount this up here. So those screws will be below the surface of this piece, and I think what we'll do is probably mount it like that. Proud to this side, so that, you know, I've got the open space on this side, and I think even I want to cut off some of this over here. Maybe I'll do, I've seen somebody do like a 45 over here. Maybe I'll do that because I want to have this back as far as I can get it. I certainly don't need it out this far in the front. The blade will be about here. So maybe even I'll notch out here. You know, so it's back farther. You know, something like that. Leave leave a few inches. You know, you can get creative here. This guy again. So, trying to just see how much. I don't know what's normal on these. I could go research some solutions. You know, I think a little bit though, having it out will give me a little bit of work area. If I have a little bit bigger piece, maybe 6 inches from the blade. So right in there. So that would have me cut off roughly that much. Oh, that's what, inch and a half. I think I'll take 2 inches off the back of that. So 2 inches off back here, 2 inches off back here. You know, these are square for that. Can't really show you because I got stuff in the way, but if we go, oh, about 2 inches and kind of, doesn't have to be perfect, and we kind of bring it in. I go back this way a little. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So we'll bring it to about this area here. So we'll bring that down to about there. I think that will be a good start. And then we'll cut off to here, maybe there. Let's get this yeah, because if I want to get that blade on and off, I also need to cut a slot back here. But if I want to get that blade on and off, I'm going to have, I'll probably have to take this off. But I think that's okay. For no more often than I'll use it, I don't mind taking this off, I guess. Maybe I'll modify this someday down the road, but for now, let's cut this angle here. Yeah, let's cut this angle here, and then we'll cut off this piece here. So I'll use my square, we'll make that 45 degrees. Maybe. It's the easiest way to do that. I guess like that. Yeah. Let's cut that off. I'm going to use the chop saw again, and then I'll cut this out, and we'll see where we stand. I'll bring you back. Bring it right back. All right, bringing you back. So I've got this cut out to the shape that I want it. And it's going to go about like this. Like I said, someday, someday I will probably modify this a little bit, but I will need a slot for the blade, which would be, you know, I'll figure this out. But the next thing I want to do is actually mount this in the holes. So I need to make a cardboard template, and it's okay if it's out just a smidge, probably would be best. So let me get a cardboard template made so we can figure out where to drill those 2 holes. let's just put a little countersink in here. We're going to test fit this. All right, had to fiddle around with that a little bit, but what I ended up doing was just recessing this out. So I've got this mounted on here, and it's flush. So now when I'm working on my pieces, I'm not going to be hitting screws, safety hazard, whatnot. I think the last thing I need to do is make room for the blade. Let's see if I slide it on this way. I think what I want to do is cut it from the back up. That way I can slide this in that way. Yeah, I think that's what I have to do. So the question is, how big a slot do I need for this? And where does it need to be? Well, let's just use square. That'll tell us. And I want to give enough clearance in it. Yeah, that'll do. And I want to make sure I give enough clearance for the blade, and you know, it might move a little bit, but so essentially that's where it needs to be. It doesn't need to come out any farther than here though. Maybe just a smidge farther than here, but essentially that is where it's going to be. Right in there, all the way down. Yeah, and that way I can slide this on. I think the thickness of a saw blade will do. Yeah, so that's what we're going to start with. Let's get this out of here, and I'll get this slot cut in here. We'll put a blade in, and we'll see how we did. All right, I think I've got things. I got my slot cut in there. Now when we mount that, I should be good. We can modify this if we have to, but I should be good for the blade. Yeah, it's gonna work out. So the next thing I need to do is, I think, put the blade on here. It's coming along pretty good. Can you still see that? Yeah, you can still see all that. Let's get one of these blades out. I'm gonna use this blade first. I've got a couple different kinds, but these weren't that expensive. There should be two in here. Let's get one of these out. There they are. Let me separate these. I'll put one back in the box. I know where it is. I know the case has got storage for these, but there's that. I didn't read the manual. I'm sure there is a right way to do this. Way to tighten it up. I probably should read the manual. I think I might. Guessing this stuff here probably loosens it up. Let me just check the manual. I've not ever changed one of these before. I want to make sure it is safety, right? I want to make sure I get this done right. For those curious, there is some extra brushes that they sent with that came with it, and an Allen wrench, probably for adjusting. Well, that might be for taking the table screws out. Let's see. It fits that, yeah. So that would have been to take the original screws out for the base plate. But what I'm interested in is installing this blade properly. Safety. Be safe. Safety. Guide bar assembly. Great. Guide bar bearing, guide bar wheels, blade installation. Let me check this out and I'll bring you back. All right, there's a tension handle on the back side of this. So it's as loose as it can get. So right now I just need to get it installed here. Put some tension on it. Right there. And I believe that's it. It's got its tension. Turn the tension handle away from the body and then install the blade. Tension according to the instructions. All right. So that's on there. I think that's going to be good. I'll make sure when I turn it on, I'll have all this facing away from me for safety. The next thing I'm going to do is see if we got this successfully slotted in. We can get that installed. And we'll do a test cut. All right. The next thing we're going to do is turn this on. I don't have it plugged in, but my table is pretty stable. The whole saw is pretty stable. There is the power cord is not turned. The switch is not depressed. I'm going to plug this in. It should not go, but it's away from me now. I'm going to keep the business end away from me. And we're going to grab a scrap. We're going to turn this on. First, we're just going to try the trigger. There is the table. Now, there's one more thing I'm going to do. I want to fashion a switch. I want to be able to turn this on and off with a switch. Rather, I can't hold the button and that be feasible. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a switch mechanism and get this installed, and that will be the end of this particular table project, my first attempt anyway, and I have finally a functioning bandsaw. So I'll show you that too. I'm going to put that on the end of this video. This is going to be one video, might be long, but whatever. It's a bandsaw table from custom made using scraps at home Didn't cost anything. You can buy them for 150 bucks, or you can fiddle around for a couple hours in the garage and make your own. Let's get on with the electrical. All right, so the final step in this is I want to be able to turn this on and off with a switch. You can use a power strip. A lot of people do that and just use the toggle switch on a power strip. I've got some electrical stuff. Let's see what I got. Maybe. No, I do have that's a 3-way. What else we got? I've got, I might need one of these. There we go. It's another 3-way, but I do need one of these. What else we got? It's another 3-way. Why do I have so many 3-way switches? I don't need 3-way switches. I don't want to use that. Another 3-way. Maybe. No. No. Got a box. Don't really need that. But I can mount a plug-in on the back, intercept that. We can put a switch on this thing. Maybe. Maybe. Definitely don't need that. We got a couple boxes. Could use something like that for the plug, because I don't want to cut the cord off of this thing. So I want it to plug in, and then I want to be able to turn it on and off. Let me fiddle around in here and find what I have. I'll come up with a plan with the things I own. I don't want to buy anything for this. I can always use a power strip. I've got power strips, but I'd like to go ahead and hardwire it in just because. I'll bring you right back. All right, we got her figured out. Way overkill, but I just want to have a permanent place to plug this thing in, be able to turn it on and off, and then also be able to remove it from the mount and use this elsewhere. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a box on the back of this, screw it in, wire it up. I'll be able to plug it in. We'll be able to turn it on and off with a switch, and we'll also not have modified the original bandsaw to boot. So, and I'm doing it from scratch. I'm not using a power strip just because I want to. All right, so I'm going to turn this around. We'll get this stuff mounted up on the back, and that's how it's going to be. So I'll probably fast forward through all this, but that's what we're going to do. All right, so we've got this wired up. By the way, this is not an electrical channel. This is not an electrical how-to. If you don't know how to wire things up or do some electrical work, I recommend you don't do this. Just use a power strip, turn it on and off. Don't go messing around if you don't know what you're doing. Just be safe. Some people understand electrical and some people don't. I'm no electrician, but I do understand a little bit of it. At any rate, I've got my outlet on the back. Again, all this stuff I already had, so I just wanted to use up what I had. I got a switch. Let's do a quick test. Make sure I've got my wiring and everything the way that I want it. So we'll plug it in. And if you watch this light up here, there it is. Turn that on. You notice we don't have it. I've got this plugged in. If I turn the switch on, switch works, turn it off, turn it back on here. So I now have power, switched power to my self-contained switch power to my bandsaw. So there's a test. Again, if you don't understand electricity, how to wire things up, don't do it. Just be safe. You can always use a power strip. Costs nothing really. So finishing touches. Let's tack this wire on so it doesn't tend to flop around at all. Right in there. Maybe just want to move on me. Just to keep that wire from moving. It's not in conduit or anything. There's probably right ways to do it. But this is just a project for home. We've got, of course, the main power for the unit. Let me get some zip ties because I'm going to need it anyway. That one, maybe that one, and we'll need that. So what I want to do is keep this kind of tucked up and out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and use zip tie here. There we go. Or maybe I could use it up here. Always cut this off. This is just to keep it out of the way. Let's see, I don't like that. What I want to do is try to keep this kind of also tucked out of the way. It's the best way to do that. Try a longer zip tie maybe. I want to bring this over. If I was to bring that, I don't want to permanently mount it. Just want to zip tie it. Well, maybe my original idea is just fine. Loosely zip tie it to my wire here. I can always undo it if I want to make it portable again. So there we go. There we go. So that's good there. Now, final task. Let's clean some of this up, but I'm gonna have to, I don't have this plugged in, just so you know. I need to zip tie the switch. Let me clean this up, I'll bring you back, and we'll finally test this thing out. All right, finally, we need, again, I still don't have this plugged in, so don't worry. We need to depress the trigger or it won't run. So, let's see if I got a shorter zip tie. There we go. And we just need to turn it on. And let's clip it so we don't have anything hanging out. There we go. Now, let's test this out. Put in some scrap wood again. Got a piece over here. All right, so there is the bandsaw stand. Let's plug it in. I believe it's in the office. I'm going to make a label and write off or on. So we plug this in, it should not turn on. I'm going to turn this to low just to start with. And I'm going to turn it on and we'll see what happens here. All right, we got that set up. Okay, so that was a test on low. Now I've got it up to max. We're gonna turn this on. We're gonna make sure it works. Again, just want to be careful when you're doing this stuff. There we go, success. Now we've got a bandsaw stand, didn't cost a penny. I used all electrical components that I already had. It's switched, it's functional. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, well, I'm closing the video out here. This is probably gonna be a lot longer than it needs to be. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you're inspired to maybe make your own. Just use this for ideas and thoughts. There's certainly a better, nicer looking one you can make. You know, you can paint this thing, you can make it look a lot better. But again, this channel's all about getting in the garage, tinkering around, making something with the stuff you already have, saving some money, and having fun. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next one.